We had the worst numbers that we've ever had virtually. We couldn't get anybody, and now we're overstocked. We have waiting lists of people wanting to sign up and be with the military. They're proud of our country again.
President Trump earlier at Selfridge Air Base in Michigan celebrating a recruitment boom after his election. That's the good news, to be sure. But today, the U.S. military might be in far worse shape than we've been told, which is important to keep in mind for the war with China we keep hearing is looming. A bunch of guys wearing rags and driving Hilux pickups have a U.S. carrier battle group cornered. Recently, in America's fights against the Iranian Houthi rebels, we have lost 7 drones, which cost the United States more than $200 million, shot down by things that cost a fraction of that. And this week, an F-18 fighter jet rolled off a U.S. aircraft carrier as it reportedly evaded a rocket launched by the rebels. Fighter jet cost us $67 million. That rocket costs Iran and the Houthis far, far less. Admiral William McRaven, retired 4-star admiral, with us now, author of the new book, Conquering Crisis, 10 Lessons to Learn Before You Need Them. Admiral, I will tell you this story because it is true, our viewers as well. I saw your book in a bookstore near Raleigh, North Carolina this weekend. I bought it, and I was going to bring it on set to prove that I bought it because I thought it was so important. I read it. I stayed up too late at night reading it, and then I forgot it on the nightstand at the hotel. So that is the endorsement for the book.
I'll send you another one.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. In terms of being ready for a crisis, right now, the United States is having a tough time dealing with the Houthi rebels driving Hilux pickups around Yemen. Is it possible we are ready to take on China?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely possible that we're ready to take on China, but you have to look at it a little bit more broadly than just the military. I mean, the military, when you think about the carrier battle groups that are out in the Indo-Pacific, you think about the sophisticated technology we have, but we really need a comprehensive strategy, which I think we have. You know, you take a look at what we are doing diplomatically. I mean, we're working with the ASEAN countries out there in terms of making sure that we've got freedom of navigation and territorial integrity. On the intelligence side, we're helping them with domain awareness, maritime domain awareness. Militarily, of course, we've got a lot going on. We've got exercises in Thailand and Malaysia and the Philippines. We're increasing our bases in the Philippines. And economically, we're helping out where we can. So this approach, this kind of strategic approach, is much more important than the military all by itself. But militarily, you know, I think China would be well advised not to try to engage us in the Indo-Pacific.
So the fact that we've been, quote unquote, hammering the Houthis for now a month plus, and they're still able to get a rocket so close to a U.S. carrier that it has to take evasive action and F-18 rolls off, shouldn't scare us.
Well, look, I'm not sure we know the truth of that. The Houthis have said, the Houthis have said this is what happened. I haven't seen the formal investigation on that, but let's make the assumption that it did. I mean, the fact of the matter is the Houthis are a little bit more sophisticated than guys running around in Toyotas with AK-47s. Again, you're in a very constrained environment, but you also take a look at, we've been hammering the Houthis a lot. The power of the United States and our allies in the Red Sea, I think, has tamped the Houthis down a little bit. But as we found out in Afghanistan and Iraq, you can sometimes have the most sophisticated military in the world, and the bad guys can still give you a run for the money. So, you know, we've got to be prepared for the Houthis, and we've got to be prepared for the Chinese, and I think we can do both.
Fair enough, sir. This is President Trump talking about investment in the U.S. military earlier.
I'll be supporting a record-setting $1 trillion investment in our national defense. We're going to go $1 trillion, the largest in the world, largest ever in our country, but no other country's invested that much.
President Trump has done 2 things. He said, I'm going to invest a lot more in the military. I've never heard someone who's a member of the military say we don't need more money. But second of all, he's had this concept, and his Secretary of Defense as well, that we are going to return to, in his words, a warrior ethos. Forget the messenger for a second, what you think of Pete Hegseth. Is President Trump and the Defense Secretary correct that the military needed a course correction?
Yeah, well, I will tell you, never in my 37 years did I find any lack of warriors. And while I've been retired for some time, I spent a lot of time with the military. I have been out on carriers. I've spent time with the special operations guys. I've spent time with a lot of conventional forces. I never saw a lack of warriors. So now, again, don't misunderstand me. I always think it's important for the Secretary of Defense to say, look, we need to make sure we are focused on war fighting. That is the responsibility. We have to defend the country. We have to defend our interests overseas. So I'm all about focusing on the warfighter. I don't have any problem with that. But I didn't see this terrible degradation over the last several years since I've been retired. Again, I can't say that there hasn't been some degradation, because once you step off the battlefield of Iraq and Afghanistan, you find people just aren't as sharp because they're, you know, fortunately they're not in war. Unfortunately, they're not honing their skills. But I applaud the president and I applaud Pete Hegseth for focusing on the warrior. Every president, every secretary needs to do that.
Conquering crisis, 10 lessons to learn before you need them. What lessons does, for that matter, the military need to learn before they need them for the next war?
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is every time you have a crisis, you have to face it head on. You know, I was asked a lot about Pete Hegseth the last, couple of weeks, and what I said was, look, everybody in America should want the Secretary of Defense to be successful. But he is in a crisis right now, a crisis of confidence. And what I would offer to him is, look, you've got to face this crisis head on, and you have to be honest. You have to face the American people. You have to face the Department of Defense and say, you know what, I made a mistake. We're going to fix it, and we need to move forward. But if you try to kind of shade the truth, if you try to blame other people, then one, the people around you that can help you, if they don't know what the truth is because you haven't told them the truth, then they're hard-pressed to be able to find answers to help you get through this crisis. So for anybody, whether it is the Secretary of Defense, the President, a CEO, or somebody running a coffee shop, when you have a crisis, face it head on, be honest, be transparent, get good people around you to help you solve it, and make sure people understand that if you made a mistake, I'm going to own up to it, and we're going to try to solve the problem, get past the mistake, and move past the crisis.
I love the advice from the book, and more importantly, in your signature way, the anecdotes that people understand what you're saying and why what you advise works. Admiral, it's always fun to have you, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks very much.
Yes, sir. Good to see you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.